Take me on a spree. I wanna get to know me, every little inch of me.
The same type of thought in one place, right?
Every number count, love tokens.
Hi, how is everybody? I hope that you're all well. It's been a couple of weeks since I've done a new video. This week I'm going to discuss commonplace books. Now, these are so interesting and really a great habit to get into. I've got a couple to show you. Then I'm going to discuss how you can start your own, what you're looking for in a book, the pen that I use, all of that sort of good stuff. So come on, let's get into the video now. So have you noticed that in this modern world that we live in, that a lot of people don't keep notes unless if it's on their phone, then that's where their notes go. But you know, I don't know about you, but when I keep something digitally, whether it's a photograph or a note or whatever it is, I don't look at it again. I just don't. So what I find is by keeping these commonplace books is that you go over them and you reread them. And I keep them next to my bed because before I go to sleep, I don't want to be on my phone. And so I flip through these commonplace books. The first one I want to show you is this. Now, this is so cute. Can you see? It's an eco-dyeing recipes book. So I just got an old gum leaf and I made that into like a dangle. It's really sweet, look. Really cute. It's just a dried out leaf. And then I got some old bits of string and just made a tie that goes around the middle. So it just looks like this. So yeah, the thing with commonplace books is to make them interesting as well, so that you do grab them and you do go back over them. So this one has got, I started it on July the 12th, 2023. And what I wanted to record inside it is my notes for my eco-dyeing. So the different things that I tried. And I also add into there things that I see in books or ideas or recipes for eco-dyeing. So that's what I put into here. So I think my last entry in this one is September of this year. So yeah, I just keep adding to it. And all inside are all things to do with eco-dyeing, nothing else. I don't put recipes for cakes or anything like that, or shopping lists or anything. It is purely dedicated to eco-dyeing. So are we starting to get the theme of what is going on here? In our modern day world of Google, many people don't even keep notes unless they're digital. I'm a little bit different. Did you know that I'm different? I think you do. So I just love to write things down that jump out of a book I'm reading, a poem I come across, or just what someone writes in a blog post that sounds like it might be interesting to me. I kind of like to think that I'm carrying on a tradition. You know, my great granny had a commonplace book and it only had recipes in it, but they weren't her own. They were recipes that had been handed down. So there we're getting back to, it's not your own wisdom, but it's somebody else's that you're writing down. So she had a commonplace book with recipes in it. And here it is. So you can see here that there's different recipes in here, but they're not hers. She's actually listed next to each one who they belong to. And I find that really interesting because it is an older tradition. So has anybody famous had a commonplace book? Thomas Jefferson kept a commonplace book for legal matters and quotes, and Ralph Waldo Emerson kept one for poetry. So why can't you keep one for any subject you like, really? If we don't collate our thoughts, who does? A computer? That's how Google is today, isn't it? But we rely on Google too much. And you know what happens? is we go back to try and find something that we saw that was interesting and we can't find it. It's gone. So that's where the Commonplace Book comes in, because you can now re-look for what you think you've lost. So if you look up Commonplace Books on Google, you'll see many images of the most delicious books with all their entries. There's even websites selling commonplace prompts online. But if you would like a list of prompts, I've now put some on my coffee, and if you go below, you'll get the link and it's free. So go there and get your copy of some commonplace subjects that you might want to make a book out of. Just might give you a little bit of a hint and get you started. For example, this journal flips from poetry to a war entry about my great-grandfather. So while it's still relevant to my journaling life, it makes it difficult if I know I have written something down but cannot find where I've put it. I guess what I'm saying is a commonplace book is used to gather the same type of thought in one place, right? So let's have a look at this commonplace book that I've done. And it's all about the books of the Four Agreements, the Fifth Agreement, all those books. I don't know if you've read them. I'm going to show you them here.
If I wrote you a song, if I got every word perfectly weighted on a thin piece of paper.
All right, because it's got a leather cover, and you can see where the signatures are sewn in here on the spine. Yeah. All right, so let's have a look at what I've written in here. So let's start off with the front page. Because it is about spiritual things, I wanted this to have sort of a spiritual feel right from the start. So I put a big postcard of a Buddha in there. Now the pages, like I said, are very uneven and yummy. And you can see here every page is sort of different, even different sizes. You know, different people choose different books for whatever reason, but I've chose this one. All right, so let's take a look at what I've written. So I've got the Commonplace Book, and then, so for example, with the Four Agreements, I will have this to one side and I'll be reading it, and then I'll have my journal there ready to go. And so I've got on page 11, that would be the first note that I made. So I read the whole book, but you don't want to rewrite the whole book. You want to pick out parts of the book that you find interesting. So on page 11, I've got, we need a great deal of courage to challenge our own beliefs. And so when you read something that jumps out of the page at you, that's what you want to add to your commonplace book. You don't want to add things that are just peripheral. You only want to add what jumps out of the page at you. So then after that, I've gone to page 15. So see here, all of humanity is searching for truth, justice, and beauty. So that's the part that I've written down in here. And then I've gone on to label the first agreement. I add stickers or things into my book. You can see there. You'll see further along that I've added photographs, because on page 121 it was talking about your parents. And it's actually quite enlightening, because it says your parents took a journey of their own, making different choices for different reasons. So then I went and found a picture of my parents, and just added it. And then a bit further along it said my brothers and sister and childhood friends chose their own course too. So I went and found another photograph that coincided with that. So when I look back through this, those things will have even more meaning for me, because I've added the personal photographs that go along with it. You'll see here that I've done hearts, talking about parents again. And then in the Mastery of Love, which was the third book that I read, this one here, The Mastery of Love, it talked about on page 56 look at your own life and try to remember what you did when you were 11 or 12. So again, I went and got the photograph that went with that entry. So I think you're starting to get the idea, you know. A commonplace book is used to gather the same type of thought in one place. You know, I can remember a piece of poetry or a line from a song or a quote, and I can add it all in one place, and this helps me to focus and keep like with like. So all of these books that I read are all by the same author, so I've dedicated a whole segment to them. So this is the fifth agreement now. So this is like a follow-on from the fourth agreement. And just this, I'd read this before, and then I couldn't find it, the page that I was looking for. So I reread it, and then this time I've added it to my Commonplace book. It was on page 48. And it's actually really interesting, where it's talking about our lives being like a movie, and that we go in and we're sitting there next to somebody who watches the movie, and you see it's all about you, and that's great because all the characters are as you know them. And then it goes on that you go into another theatre, and this time you see all the same characters, but it's a secondary character that's looking at them, and that could be your mother. And then you see the movie through your mother's life and realise that the way she saw your life, or she saw you as a character, is totally different. So yeah, very, very interesting and very profound. So they're the kinds of things that I add to my Commonplace book. But for this one, it is these books by Don Miguel Ruiz, which I absolutely love. And then in it, he sometimes quotes other people. So there's got a Socrates quote there. So as for me, all I know is that I know nothing. And the older I get, I think I'm starting to agree with that. And you know, these Commonplace books are actually a great marker of time, because when you flip back through them, you realise that you may have been in a different place to where you're at now, and they're really a good example of how your life changes, and you know, the things that come and go. So you can add photos, you can add all sorts of things. So I'm just starting another section here on Rumi, because I love the way that he speaks about things. It's so simple. So yeah, I'm starting that there. So so I don't know, I just also believe that it helps me to have clarity of thought. You start to look for quotes that may fit in with what your Commonplace book is at that time. I can look through it and glean some really fine wisdom that grounds me again on days when, you know, the black clouds hover over me. And, you know, I'm sure you all get them too, but it sort of just crystallises your thoughts again and lets you know, okay, that's why I read that in the first place. So yeah, let me know your thoughts. Now, what was I going to tell you? Oh yeah, the pen I use. I don't have a special pen, all right? I just use whatever pen I like. And if I want to add colour, like here, I just use a texter. All right, a lot of people say they've got to have a special book to do this or a special cover. I don't find that. I find a book that I love, and I think if I have a book that I love, I'm more, you know, more in tune to use it. I'm more inclined to use it. So yeah, pick something that you love and go from there. So, do you have a Commonplace book or books? Are you a fan? Let me know. And if you're not a subscriber, I would love you to subscribe and help me out. I'm nearly at 3,000 subscribers, but I can't do it without you. So thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it. And I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Hey, darling, can I tell you what's been on my mind? Sick and tired of the 9 to 5.